Now, it's for a better also with new updates. Abekanyensa. In say Adu-Boahene, Kwabena Adu-Boahene. Me no can say no. Let's say the state is having on the state is having a case with him or against him. Basically, bra na or the National Signals Bureau boss, contracts be any near maybe FFR and SASIA. According to the state, these contracts may find in SASIA or inflated figures, contract figures, and what happened was that scan ekudin in chain. Meno Cassidy a new thing abba. Remember, I said, now no Captain Smart, your friend is saying video be and or the two just say, the Adu-Boahene case, no, yes, then who a year nim anani chino is so simple. It is because the evidence Ayine against Adu-Boahene, and yet sufficient enough, and also no certain pages are be prosecuted Kwabena Adu-Boahene anyhow. In fact, in some way, Bibli, I'm a dream cry on Tiase, and that's sorry, a part to say Adu-Boahene charge now as so where they are born and yon on incrophobia, not a muboma as so mudi born and answer movia, say Sikano, and into me a bear 5 or 4. Now, Baku Abba I'll say or bet testify against Adu-Boahene. Kwabena Adu-Boahene bet testify against Kwabena Adu-Boahene, which means say, me chem we are quite said menewo, wa share menewo, yedi ya court say if we are dear, and I bring me we are dear now so ye one can until you conspired with me, at I say, aha, we are conspirator. It's the waka home say me G's can now jina hobi, ukra GB, at I say, and we am accomplice. If you see any court air patches, okay, castle, okay. Esan say ya charge wa we accomplice when this kind be brain obetimi testify against me. And I may just scandal do no. Sina beya si be jeli wa at the end you be jeli wa. We case no jail na be jeli no. Yen jeli ubim because you want to testify against nipa na the case state in the case state the case court against him no because you testify against that person no. Oh no, they will commute your sentence. Nti be jeli wa yen jeli be ma 35 years ma 35 years bim say ebia Yebeka si tweskem into twes can be and only a deal usually you strike a deal with the prosecutors. It happens that if any plea deal you strike a deal with the prosecutors. Now yanko share a court rate in nam sansem aba. Because at the end of the day, there is a lot of things that are me per se be ready what I think Attorney General Eddie Tuja, and some of the things are a lot of people were actually shocked that this thing is happening because Attorney General, one of the things is that opeyesika back. It is at the end of the day, obitima faculty kwen so and kwen so no we nyes be back and ebe jeli nipa back krana ayen senda ho a good thing. It yen the screens no so. Or say one of Adu-Boahene's co-conspirators, third accused person in the case, has offered to testify for the prosecution against him. So Attorney General has withdrawn the charges against her and made her a prosecution witness. So we are learning, say, this person, your friend is saying Attorney General na oka Kwabena Adu-Boahene case no one charging no see an Attorney General information aba say Attorney General obe testify against Kwabena Adu-Boahene. Into obe testify against Kwabena Adu-Boahene. Obe testify against Kwabena Adu-Boahene. Let us say sentences no and charges na dia born ebitimi efi ho. Now straight up yen court ne share court rate na wo screens no so no na at the end of the day yen share in sema koso wo hase. So let's take up with this particular first one na inti ye sha osedan. In the Superior Court of Judicature, in the High Court, the Republic, date now AD, that's 2025, the Republic versus Kwabena Adu-Boahene, Angela Ejay-Boateng, that is the wife of Adu-Boahene, that's the second accused, and a Mildred Donko, third accused person, and Advantage Solutions Limited, almost not Sajumi Kuno, fourth accused person, but the third person, a young Mildred Donko, or no, and I'm no case also be testify against Kwabena Adu-Boahene. It's really. Also notice of withdrawal from prosecution. Take notice that the Honorable Attorney General has, pursuant to Section 59 of the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act 1960, Act 30, withdrawn Mildred Donko, the third accused person, herein from prosecution in respect of all the charges brought against her in this case. You see, and your party say, it's say Mildred Donko, why not doing say say si ano case na yɛde aba no against ono your friend is saying case na yɛde aba against ono Mildred Donko no ene Adu-Boahene no ono aye na adwen sisi ano obeye witness anase obeka nsem a ebekọ against Kwamna Adu-Boahene na yere ene saa fourth accused Advantage Solutions Limited say Jumeku no eluti no Attorney General wa drop all the cases and our charges against her. Also dated at the office of the Attorney General, the Law House, Liberia Road, and the date to that 15th of October 2025. They be ready in some kakra a woman area na ya twaso. So as you can see, a year dates now on Willie's year, which is today, yesterday, the 16th of October 2025. I see my name, I see the Republic versus A1, A2, and A4. This year, ya amended a year charges, no, and the Republic versus Kwamna Adu-Boahene, Angela Ej Boateng, on the second accuser, ye naming A2. And ye Mildred Donko na, konobe A3, ye nephew, because he said also be testify against Kwamna Adu-Boahene. And I see the fourth accused, the Advantage Solutions name, say Jumeku almost some count. So is the Republic against these three people. Mildred and the also testify against Adu-Boahene any Advantage Solutions Limited. He name him. You should the way Nima also prosecution witness statement of Mildred Donko. My name is Mildred Donko. I live at Oyarifa. Oyarifa is a suburb of Accra. Currently, I'm self-employed. Immediately before I became self-employed. I work with A1 and A2, helping them to run the affairs of their business, including A4's businesses. Immediately before working with the accused persons, I worked with the Universal Merchant Bank Limited, hereinafter known as UMB, in Accra. I worked there from July 2007 up until sometime in 2018. I worked there first as a teller and later as a salesperson. I know A1 and A2, and I also know A4, the company. I got to know them at the Cedar. And see, Mildred no sisi ano start kan ni mu nsem ane because sisi ano no de is kan ahia no odi ya ye de sobo se ba be bon e no pa che say your friend Mildred Donko na o pa che say oni bank bi ebro be edwuma mu na oni bank bi eye edwuma sa bank no ni o mu ye edwuma your friend Universal Merchant Bank UMB yes na o pa say ono man kasa oyarefa be de ba ye ne say sometime 28 or see or UMB no Universal Merchant Bank na or ye teller kuni nim kakra no be salesperson be mua and odisia your friend is saying A1 which A1 ye Adu-Boahene A2 ne yere na A4 no company Advantage Solutions no na opa say 2018 mu ho no jai ejuma Universal Merchant Bank yen to aso I see. I know A1 and A2, and I also know A4, the company. I got to know them at the Cedar Mountain Assembly at the Assemblies of God Church. Herein after known as the church. Herein after known as the church. The church is in East Legon. A1 and A2, in this case A1 Kwamna A2 and I are members of the church. I am a treasurer at the church. I first met A1 at the church on his 30th birthday. That was about 14 years ago. Reverend Rengam, the head pastor of the church, introduced A1 to me. At the time, Reverend Rengam wanted me to assist A1 to pay his Thanksgiving offering to the church. At the time, I didn't know the work of A1, the work that A1 did. Into a part say, Oshia Kwamna Adu-Boahene, ewa sorry. Okay. Na ebra omuhia wa sorry no na say omu nyina kwa sorry ewo Assemblies of God ewo East Legon na ebra omuhia na say na also ebra ohia Charles Adu-Boahene na no there she was working at the church okwa sorry but na oye treasure you can't treasure asori ni sika ni ade ono hweso na itino o say edu Owo one day and I say Charles Adu-Boahene naming A1 odi ni birthday that time we did 30 years so that was 14 years ago. We say we did 44 years now part say almost of penny of Reverend Wengam and now introduce Charles Adu-Boahene Kwamna Adu-Boahene new na opese oye the oba for real because we did 40 years or opese oba for real sorry and now ordene etre. They say, Reverend Wengam say, Charles Adu-Boahene, meet Charles Adu-Boahene. I say, Hona, or this year Charles Adu-Boahene. Our pastor said, during that time, not only a Juma, Charles Adu-Boahene. Oh, yeah. In some, I did too. nsɛm wɔ hɔ nsɛm wɔ hɔ yɛntoa so yɛtoa so a also, subsequently, A1 and I became friends, and I later introduced banking products from my bank UMB to him, and consequently convinced him to open accounts with the bank. A1 opened a personal bank account for himself. He also opened a corporate account for his company A4. That was sometime in the year 2010. At the time of opening the account for A4, A4 could not meet the minimum requirement for 2 directors. A4 had only 1 director as the other director on. Iti omo patche say emua ena one eye kwamna Adu-Boahene ebeye ndanfofo nti ombeye ndanfo no ena oka say wabo afore ni wi no mbeye ndanfo no ena so sisi ano de me pese me ye adwuma o bank na pese me catch us bank ne wo product be bre obitima be bio company account obitima be ye say ni say ena so ultimately kwamna Adu-Boahene be personal bank account e wo ho me kwamna Adu-Boahene be personal bank account no echi no sam be ni company bank account eye Advantage Solutions but na eni nyina akra na oniska say oniska or the be pick 2 directors and I say or say oni omiti requirements na won say be company obi here 2 directors na omiti requirements no yento aso or say A4's record was deceased. To satisfy the minimum directorship required for A4, A1 requested that I became the second director, which I consented to. I put my name down as a second director. That's how I became a director of A4. It was say ebra kwamna Adu-Boahene eba ye no na say onya obi obeye director because the second director na we wu. Nti ona kwamna Adu-Boahene ka so ene ye director mame which personally me kra ma ye bida me be company bi na say me here obi obeye director and me pe obi acho no ye mame nti ho na say okay obeye ama no say eja yi na kwa sorry dia ye nto aso. In July 2018, I resigned from UMB after I was transferred from Legon branch to the Tema branch. I have a copy of the transfer letter with me. It was dated November 13, 2017. I wish to tender in evidence in this vein. I resigned because I had been experiencing health issues, including severe migraines. So my husband and I decided I resigned since the bank was not willing to post me to a location closer to Oyarifa. Upon resignation, I informed A1 that I was no longer working at UMB. I told him I needed a new job. A1 agreed to assist by involving me in the operations of A4. I combined the duties of A1. I combined the duties which A1 assigned to me at A4 with my treasure duties at church. Into osi emuana ejuma na oye do or resign ye. Aden na opache say ye transfer no efi eye Legon branch ekọ Tema. Na ye transfer ne kọ Tema na te say emuana ne tie ne ya on ho fa no nti emuana oni ni kunu ekọ adwinkrom say dia ye ne de wo se wujai because obefa ka efi Legon no akọ Tema obeba de bia otie oya ejuma ewu a the next ye be replace you what you say enu nti no oni ni kunu ekọ adwinkrom say obejai ejuma no nti oje ejuma no ena ode eye efeni say copy which is an evidence and in this vein no at all. Now aside from that no echi no catch share kwamna Adu-Boahene A1 say we je ejuma nti si anu obetimi aboa na nya ejuma bi a kan ni bejepa ena kwamna Adu-Boahene say okay no problem me company eye Advantage Solutions so bitimi aba na waba beboa ye nti Advantage Solutions na A4 no na company A4 no omo yesi omo A4 no. So in this case no opache say oni kwamna Adu-Boahene start say oye ejuma oye rounds ema kwamna Adu-Boahene nti no aside from that na osanso eye asori treasure duties ewa Assemblies of God Church ewo East Legon yento aso 4 yenko 4 no so na yenhwe de omoka ewo eye part 4 no. Or say, however, I received a letter of employment or appointment at A4. Therefore, therefore, I never received a letter or employment or appointment at A4. Therefore, I was not given specific duties nor formal terms of employment. I only acted in ad hoc instructions from A1 and A2. However, I was paid monthly stipend. For instance, I was paid 3,170 Ghana cedis up to January 2021. I have copies of some of my pay stipend payments until the commencement of investigations into this case this year. Most of my work was done remotely from home, and I sparingly visited A4's offices on average. I visited the office once every 3 weeks. Into a patch I say, Emuana, your friend is saying, Kwame Adu-Boahene eka se oni ni be yi ejuma but the woman say ejuma na Kwame Adu-Boahene na ye no na che say wan ma no letter che say sisi ma fa we ejuma de bi wan ma ne sa letter no nti ultimately what really happened was that oye rounds man be mu a na wakọ no office once in a while koye we man wakọ koye si man wakọ koye akitua na oje 3,100 Ghana cedis every month what I say I know say or pay slip near there I know say na onko office or de bia na oye ejuma remotely oye from efie what I say no say omu na wakọ office. 6. Along the line in 2018, A1 and A2 introduced me to another company, BNC Communications, that's Bureau Limited, BNC Communications Bureau Limited. A1 called me on the phone that we should open a new company. The company registration documents were brought to me at home to sign. A1 also said we needed to open a new bank account for the company. He instructed me to get the account opening done. A1 did not discuss with me or made me aware of the operations of BNC Communications Bureau Limited. The only task I had undertook in the name of the company was to make payments and withdrawals as instructed by A1 and A2. Enti osi ejuma na oyama advantage solutions no oyaya kwapim 2021 ni etua almost 3,000 cedis every month. But emua na 2018 mu ho Kwame Adu-Boahene a friend say si ano omo be company foforo mba bet no BNC Communications Bureau Limited. But then yan kanche ni company no de omo koye your one a company registration documents ne brand say uncle fi no nko sign on the oko sign or sign we any kan say uncle be bank account no onye ne mani mebi na ni nyina no oko be bank account ma BNC Communications Bureau Limited and about say in all this one no juma no ye wo BNC Communications say okwa make payment okwa tue sika no okwa yi sika juma no did no. 7. As I mentioned, A1 and A2 from time to time instructed me to carry out tasks on their behalf in respect of A4. After, for example, they had on occasion instructed me to facilitate the payment of checks signed by A1 and A2 to third parties. These bank accounts were usually sent to me directly through email. On other occasions, A1 sent such emails directly to the bank and put me in a copy. I have copies of such emails. I wish to tender them in evidence in the X series. Additionally, A1 sometimes instructed me to make check withdrawals from A4's account with UMB and sometimes also from the accounts of BNC Communications Limited, which I withdrew such checks. Therefore, in some day I be pre. Or purchase all these swala na same same way cost no our wa ni aka so kone kutua your friend is saying we mame kone kutua we mame kone kutua we mame so kutua we to company no akwa kutua what you say kutua we to company no akwa kutua iti eno ana na oye iti omu a ni aka say check we ko clear no akwa clear kutua ska we atu we company we account no akoye no say companies na etu ba ko BNC Bureau Communications Bureau and ba ko so ye den and ba ko so your friend is saying advantage solution it no juma no ya ne say okutue ska esanse ya ne director no otimi ko na wakoye den wakotue ska no otue ska ne ba sebi de wo se oye no na wakwa nti juma na odi eno no juma na odi no so kwa no akwakutu iska okwa no akwakutu iska eno ena oye now we are trying as much as possible to make sure say menya other copies but unfortunately no me hwe mu no other copies no mensa anka so for insomni there bebre I'm trying to see if I can get the other copies but since I'm not getting the other copies no be sure say at the end of the day as time is going on no you bring more updates concerning this particular case. You could see very clearly say in some na bobani de bebre. So in some de sape pepe eda etie say odwen ho kra won entiasie. So that is the issue here. Simple. Hey, sika. The sika ebe nipa. It is for that is exactly what is really going on. As I said. Akoswa enye sempeto a ye bebo modern de si ha say because ye pese ye de easy bebe the update eba and inti entwa ho ye beba sisi ana eti for ya sanso aba beto aso